I'm going to run through the 5 players who are going to rise most on 2026 fantasy football draft boards over this offseason. Let's get it started with Malik Nabers. Malik Nabers' profile is starting to take a hit because of this injury, some struggles with the Giants' offense overall, and I think his ADP is going to start the offseason way too low. In your best ball leagues in particular, I'm going to scoop up as much Nabers as I can early on. I expect he'll be in the second round somewhere, maybe even late in the second round. I think he is a first round player come August next year. Once we get some positive reports on the injury news from Nabers, once he starts his rehab and is ready to play again. And really, a big reason I'm excited for Nabers next season is Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart's had an up and down season, taking over for quarterback for the Giants early in the season. But a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's no one to throw to outside of Nabers on this offense, and Nabers has been missing the entire time that Dart has started. The reason I'm so excited about this Nabers Dart connection is because they are players that work well together. Dart loved to push the ball down the field in college, and so far in the NFL, he's doing exactly that. Over the season, he is second in frequency of deep ball throws, 20 plus air yards down the field. That is exactly where Malik Nabers thrives. He is great down the field. He was great at LSU down the field, and in the NFL, he's been effective on these deep routes. Getting a quarterback that can finally hit Nabers on these routes consistently, like Dart has the potential to, we could be looking at that Puka kind of season from Nabers next year. The Giants are also in search of a new head coach, and number one in the betting markets on that list is Kevin Stefanski, the old head coach for the Browns, who just let him go. Well, this Browns offense over the last few years with Stefanski hasn't been known for great offenses. You have to look at who these quarterbacks have been leading the offenses. Stefanski hasn't had a whole lot to work with. The last time he had a good quarterback in Baker Mayfield, his team made the playoffs. He won a coach of the year. He had a very good team. The only reason Nabers is really going to be down in ADP is because of fears around this ACL injury. It happened early in the season, and even with some somewhat negative reporting these past few weeks, there was no second surgery. There's been no significant setbacks. I fully expect that Nabers will be back week 1. Over running back, I think Chase Brown is absolutely primed to be a riser over the offseason. I've seen this before with the running backs that have the lower draft capital, like Chase Brown. Think Kyron Williams previously. People are always expecting that the running back, no matter how successful they are on the field, to get replaced, have competition come in and compete with them. Chase Brown also has the added fact that early in the season, he started out really slow. He really struggled to start the season, and some people are still going to have that in their minds that he is limited. But over the second half of the season, Chase Brown was a great running back. He had over 14.5 PPR points in 9 out of his final 10 games. He finished the season as the RB8 overall. Now, I get the worry with these low draft capital running backs getting replaced in the draft. That is a thing to be worried about, but the Bengals have a unique situation where I don't think that's really on the table at all. This Bengals defense is historically bad. They need talent on that side of the ball. They are going to need to address the position or the whole side of the ball in the draft. That doesn't leave a whole lot of draft capital to be used on a running back. Same can be said for their offensive line. Joe Burrow is publicly contemplating whether he even wants to play for this franchise anymore. So they are absolutely going to need to make an investment on the offensive line as well. With both the offensive line and entire defense needing such an investment, running back is such a luxury that I would be absolutely shocked if the Bengals invest anything more than a day 3 pick at the position. Next up, I've got Brock Bowers. He's had a relatively down season. Finishes the tight end 11 overall, tight end 4 in points per game. That's not up to the standard that we expected at the beginning of the season, where he was being drafted in the second round of drafts, the first tight end off the board. Now, first, you have to keep in mind that Bowers struggled with a knee injury all season. He didn't let it keep him out of every game, but he did miss games here and there, and he was struggling with the injury throughout the season. The team ended up shutting him down a few weeks early because of that injury. But more so than the injury is just the team situation around Bowers. The Raiders were last in the league in points per game and yards per game by a fairly strong margin. They were scoring less than 15 points a game. That is just not conducive to fantasy success. At this point, the offense can only get better from here, and there are reinforcements coming. The Raiders have locked in the number one overall pick in the NFL draft. Fernando Mendoza is very likely to be the selection with that pick, having a great Heisman season at Indiana. If you haven't seen any of Mendoza's season, if you don't know his profile at all, over on our Dynasty channel, we have a prospect profile video that breaks down Mendoza's profile. To sum it up, Mendoza is deserving of a number one overall pick in the NFL draft. While this is a weaker class at quarterback, Mendoza absolutely is deserving up there at the top. That number one overall pick and the prospects of getting Mendoza on this team will be attractive to potentially offensive-minded head coaching candidates over this offseason. As soon as the Raiders find a new head coach, a new offensive coordinator, and draft Mendoza, I think Bauer's stock is going to rise quite significantly. Well, I don't blame anyone for wanting to take McBride as the number one overall tight end next season. I still think Bowers is the best tight end in the NFL, and even just a mediocre offense or a regularly bad offense, I think he can be the tight end one overall in fantasy again. Back to wide receiver, I think Garrett Wilson is someone that is going to be way underdrafted over this offseason, especially early in the offseason. People are prone to forgetting about what a receiver can do, what any player can do when they miss a significant chunk of time with injury. That's exactly what happened with Wilson. Missed 9 out of his final 10 games of the season with a knee injury. And people have completely forgotten what Wilson's early pace was. After his first 5 weeks, the only 5 healthy games he played all season, he was on pace for 112 receptions, almost 1,300 yards, and 14 touchdowns. An absolutely dominant pace that he was on early on. And that was with Justin Fields playing quarterback for this team. Justin Fields averaged under 140 passing yards per game on the season. I don't know who will be the quarterback for the Jets next season. Maybe they bring in a veteran passer, a Jacoby Brissett type. That would be an improvement. Or maybe they go with the number 2 overall pick in the draft and select a quarterback like Dante Moore, who I also think would be an improvement over Justin Fields for Garrett Wilson. Wilson is extremely talented. He looks great on film. He's succeeded in his limited action. It's just that people haven't seen him do it over a full season now. People don't trust the Jets, rightfully so. And that's going to drop Wilson quite a bit. I still think he's a second round talent. He can absolutely have the fantasy season to back up that kind of draft capital. And last on this list, I'm going quite a bit deeper than the other players, and I'm going to go with James Conner here. Conner suffered a season-ending injury early in the season, a broken foot that held him out. Now, things aren't guaranteed for Conner. The Cardinals have moved on from Gannon as their head coach. He was a big proponent of Conner, but still, Conner could be a very valuable veteran in this league. It's a very weak running back class in the NFL draft this season. With that being the case, a lot of teams may be looking for veterans to come in and compete for a starting job on their team. And it's not like we saw Conner, the wheels fall off before this injury. He put up over 1,400 total yards in 2024 before missing most of this season with injury. Well, I think early in the offseason, there will be a lot of skepticism around whether Conner can come back to form, whether he gets any shot in a committee situation even in the NFL again. But just look at last year with Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, his ADP on Underdog was 205. He was going at the end of drafts to start out. the best ball season last year. He ended up at 147. He was in that round 12, round 13 area where you're still drafting relevant players. Nick Chubb's injury was so much more substantial than Connor's, and Chubb never had the pass catching chops that Connor has. Connor is absolutely going to be one of my late round targets early on in the best ball season. If you're one of the fantasy football fans that likes this kind of content, that is already getting ready for the best ball season, or just looking ahead to 2026 fantasy drafts at this stage, go ahead and subscribe to the channel because we're going to keep bringing you content through the offseason when a lot of channels are just inactive. We are still interested in the 2026 fantasy season. We're already there, and we want you to be there with us.